And we're live on the twitch.tv/the Xisuma, the place where we play the Hermitcraft. And Hero Blender and Bear are throwing bananas in chat. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that. I mean, Cobble? What? Peeps, I got to play Vintage Beef's TCG trading card game. It was utterly fantastic. And we are going to be in charge of doing some redstone and some building for Beef's arena of the TCG. Oh, and immediately I start to cough. Give me a second. Oh, something at the back of my throat there. I've not long since I had something to eat. Al Brassard, thank you so much for 3 months of support, and also Dark Queen, thank you for signing up and becoming a Patreon. You're probably not here, but I appreciate you nonetheless. If you're watching on the second channel, thank you so much for the support. So yes, tomorrow's stream, my plan is to kind of study a little bit. Well, study, what am I thinking? Like, you know, prepare, plan ahead, think about what I'm going to do, and then we'll do a live stream where we look at the redstone mechanics and the building of Beef's arena. So today we'll probably talk about the card game a little bit, and then tomorrow we'll work on the arena for it. Also, this tunnel here, it could probably be like capped off at this point. I don't think there's going to be any much further than that, right? Or who knows, you know, it's a long season. Who knows where things could go. Speaking of TCG, I put out a video on the channel earlier today, right? The second channel, this channel, if you're watching it. You're watching the replay, and I just completely spaced out, and I uploaded like the file without rendering it so that the audio gets and I've got no items. The audio gets like mixed down. YouTube doesn't do that with video files with multiple audio tracks, so you have to like mix them down yourself. So yeah, I had to cancel the original upload. As soon as I got home, I rendered the video, uploaded it, and it's just waiting for checks, and then I publish it while I'm live today. Indieficent says, this is too perfect. I just finished watching the match with Tango. Excited to see how your redstone ideas come together. That is most peculiar because I privated the video, and the reason I did was because you only had one audio track, which was me talking. So I don't know how you fared watching it, but you would have certainly missed a lot of what went on. Where'd all my arrows go? Could have swore I had more arrows than that. I remember restocking them. Some leftovers from the game we played. This was immense, by the way. Immensely enjoyable. Also, I might be wise to save myself a trip coming back here tomorrow with a couple of screenshots. Because I need to sort of rebuild this and figure out the arena layout and stuff. I've got loads of notes and just need to think it over a little bit. Oh, and I tell you what I never did. I never looked at the redstone in here. So how does the shuffling here work? I don't think it actually shuffles. I can kind of see an attempt to make it shuffle. Anyway, nothing advanced down here that I need to take notes for and remember or anything really, so it looks like we're good to head out of here. Oh, Tango posted it too. That's actually the reason I posted it, funny enough. At the end he said like, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll just put this on my second channel. And I thought, oh, I could do that. Like, I didn't really have a plan, you know, going in because I haven't been making videos on the main channel. But then I thought, yeah, I could do that. I'll upload it to my second channel. Mafia Kid, thank you for 12 months of support. That's that's a whole year. Haven't got time to catch up with your videos. So dropped in to say hi. Well, there hasn't been many as of late, as I've been on an enforced hiatus from the old video creation. Of course, stuff's coming out on the second channel as always, but thank you, my dude. Should you use honey and slime for the poison burning effects instead of the heads Beef has? Easier to break. There's a suggestion worth writing down. Let's get out the old notepad. How did that happen? Honey/slime for poison. I forgot what the other effect was. Burning? Yeah, you can get away with that. Like yellow for burning. Not a bad idea. God's Read, thank you ever so much for 5 months of support. Appreciate you. Thank you. Ah. If I remember, this guy was a part of a server called Hermitcraft, right? I've never heard of Hermitcraft. Don't know what that is. Woo, up we go. So yeah, we started to work on... I got a feeling we kind of left this project to actually go and grab some materials and stuff. So I'm not sure we really got what we need to get going. That being said, I wrangled up some things, right? So we need that. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. A couple of these, and then some bone blocks. Yeah, this is what we were doing yesterday, peeps. This is what we were doing yesterday. By the way, I got decaf coffee here, probably ready to go, ready to drink, you know. Might have a slurpy slurp in just a moment. So yeah, what we would do is have this one like so, and then the next one would be mangrove. Could be pretty good. And we'll put in a few of those blocks. And we'll step back. And just stew on that for a second. So if we put bone blocks in the middle, the problem is it's flat all the way. Now we could recess that and then put a little something in. I like the idea of using diorite walls though. Let's drink some of this coffee already. Soul Vox, thank you ever so much for 12 months of support. A whole year. Greatly appreciated, my dude. Thank you for your continued support. Dev Chimera says, yeah, you don't need to redeem the face reveal. There's already a face reveal on X's channel. Oh yeah, there's one on my second channel. Yeah. Fence posts along the wood blocks up to the ceiling. Yeah, that could definitely work. I like the idea of a little textural variety. Bird poop balls. Yeah, there'll be bird poop balls if we do that. Yeah, maybe not then. I don't know. I like the idea of putting the bone blocks in maybe behind. Like what type have we got here? We got a bit of this, a bit of that, really. Some crimson here. And some of the other one over there. What was it? Mangrove, yeah. Right, sticks, we got them. Uh-huh. Some of these blocks, some of that. There you go, there's some more mangrove. So let's make crimson. And then mangrove. Plenty of those to check it out. Oh, and then I'm going to need some more blackstone, but possibly actually lighting, right? Like, we need light sources in here too. Can't forget about that. And this is very favourable, I think. JKL's doing JKL's things. Thank you so much for 23 months of support. Appreciate it. I remember the name JKL's, but the doing things bit, is that new? Is there like a name change going on? Can you do that on Twitch? Can you change up the name? Yeah, so you'd want these to alternate, right? Like you'd want that one there. Hang on, what happened? What happened? It's the same one. Probably with bone blocks behind, so let's do that on this section. It's always nice just to do something simple when it comes to building. Keep it easy, keep it straightforward, you know. Keep it 100. Oh, I sound like a rapper now. I'm so trendy, I'm in. I'm clearly in. Okay. Do that. See, that totally works. Be a lot of block placing. And then I think at the top level there, you're going to want to change some things. Yes, you can change your name on Twitch. Mrs. Wells Knight just changed her name. Her name, you mean? Please never do a face reveal. Just knowing your character and the builds without knowing what you look like is just so exciting. It reminds me just pure Minecraft and not any drama, says Tara 7 bar. I like your attitude, you know? Here's the way it is. Just look for a good reason to enjoy what it is. I have no plans to do a face reveal. Philosopher42, thank you ever so much for 10 months. Greatly appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Good stuff. I like your build, especially Season 7. Thanks, Ice Drag. Haley Bailey says, I like the mystery. For me, with some of the YouTubers that I watch that don't put their face into it, it really doesn't cross my mind, other than if it sort of becomes oddly relevant for a moment or something. It just doesn't like interest me to know. It's just not occupying my mind. Let's go ahead and get some of these, do some of that. Also some of this. Just getting enough together for a second. Hey, we got cheers and biddies, we got gifted subs. Bam, loud noise in my eardrum. It's the one, the only Randy Nicole 2002 with the cheers and the biddies. Thank you for all you do, Randy. Greatly appreciated. We got a couple of sub bombs now. You, whose name I always get wrong, Iyyill. Literally, I'll just spell it out with the letters. Thank you so much for gifting a sub to Imans5, Drop and Pop, Missile the Weight, Sana of Scarva, and the Kuo. Y'all been gifted subs. Be sure to say thanks in that chat because we appreciate the support for the community. And Curls of Doom coming through with more gifted subs to Callum Fight, the Morph, Bon, Say Stamps, SSM Edition, K-Dads. Y'all been gifted subs again. Thank yous in the chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. And hope y'all are having a good time today. Enjoying the stream. I've had an alright day. An alright day. I went in the sauna early on. Usually I go in the sauna in the evening before bed. And just because I realised I wouldn't have time to stream earlier, I just went, oh, you know what? I'll dip in the sauna now. And because the house is warmer in the day, man, I got a right old sweat on. It was cooking in there. It was cooking. These are like, you know, similar, great, but then also like, they're similar. Like, I keep placing the wrong one. You know what I mean? Xisuma problems. Oh, did it again. They really are that deceptive, aren't they? We're gonna have to build like one half at a time or something. Otherwise, I'm gonna just go mad. Do we? Let's chew it out of that level. Okay, those are the mangrove ones. I think it goes as far as there, right? Like that. It's going to be such a big build. And I guess here at the front, things will be slightly different. So bring all of that up, and then strip it all down. I just watched your TCG match with Tango, close match from a really cool game, says Tauber. You've reminded me I need to publish that. Let's go ahead and publish it. It will be done now. Oh no, 40 minutes for HD. I'm just going to publish it. And yeah, you can now go watch it on the second channel. It was there earlier, but I goofed. I done goofed. God, it's like I'm human or something, you know, I make mistakes. Who would have thought? Right, so then the equivalent here is around this spot. The other thing is it buildable? Like, you can see, well, I mean, is it buildable without being a pain in the bum? You know, placing lots of blocks to place the other blocks. Gotta admit, it's It's not the most fantastic, like, eye-catching synergy going on here. But it's something. And the head height feels about the right distance, but it's not going to be too much of an issue. Oh yeah, and because it's a nether tunnel, you're going to have to house it in a bunch of concrete slabs and stuff like that. Ugh. Forget about all these little details sometimes. That's why a tunnel through solid mass is sometimes better in the nether. And we are juggling some materials here. We are juggling them. Sallyann123, 86 months. Evil X has arrived. Have a great stream all. Thanks for the awesome continued content. Thank you for your continued support. 86 months. That's incredible. Thank you so much. Ah, I see. So those ones technically don't need to be. Right, and then it's dum. Oh, the last one. Oh, and again. Torturous. And yeah, mangrove fence. We got the right one. God, they always seem to look like the other one in the inventory. I'm always getting it the wrong way around. Ooh. So, that section repeated over and over again until we get to the bottom is, I guess, what we're going for. We're talking about putting green carpets along here too. So like some wall or moss blocks. Oh, dang it. Oh, dang diddly gosh. Magma cubes. Being pains in the bums, you know? Just, now I've got to clean all the hole up. Need frogs in this area. That'll be more helpful. There you go. X, you got any building tips for me, says Ice Drag? Yeah. Just build. Build something bad? Brilliant. Build something next to it. Try and make it a little bit better. Try and learn. Carl says, do you have a temperature display in the sauna? How big is the difference between evening and day sauna? I think it's just that the house is warmer and it builds up quicker and it can sustain the higher temperature. Skyfighter says, has you been using the inventory mod? We were, as hermits, we had a meeting about it. And some of us are supposed to be, or we're going to, like, you know, showcase it. I haven't really been doing that myself. But I need to get into the pattern of doing that. So I haven't really been using it just because, I don't know, other people were going to supposedly experiment with it first on here. I feel like I came back with a bit of a plan in mind. Yeah, no, it's coming back to me now. I wanted to mess around with these. Can they be crafted? They can't be crafted into actual moss blocks, right? That would have been somewhat helpful. Let's say we grab a stack of this stuff too. And just go mess about for a second. What you drinking? Decaf coffee? Yeah. Decaf coffee. See, that's not good. It's got to cover this stuff up. Otherwise, at some point, somehow, our ghast will hit it. You know how it works. I got a feeling straight away this just won't feel right, but we'll try it. I feel like not only would you want to do that, you'd want to mix up some green wool in there. What do you think, peeps? Or should we, like, convert it to blackstone? It needs to be something to stop things spawning on, so... So your tip is to just do it if it is bad, try until you're happy. Yeah. Like you have to learn things. I can't tell you. It's not like, hey, do you want to know the secret of building? You know, 2 + 2 = 4. Like, building is subjective. So if you want to build things that you think are great, you're going to have to flex your own muscles, so to speak, right? So the thing with building, I think, is that people get discouraged because you don't just build what you might see in your head out the gate. You have to practice. You have to try. That's why I said build something bad, because people start off with something bad and then think they failed. It's like, no, building something bad is the first step in learning how to make something look good. Anyway, what do y'all think about putting moss down here? I've got to admit, I'm not really sold on it. It just feels a bit contrast heavy. Feels like it'd make more sense just to throw down black carpet, you know? Experience is the best teacher, says Artabong. There you go. That's a nice way to summarize it. I take it Hermitcraft is a mod pack. Where might I get it? Is a launcher. Hermitcraft isn't a mod pack. It is a server, a vanilla SMP server. Like, there are other people. No one on right now, but there are other people that play on here. You know, that is the concept of Hermitcraft. We're a community of creators. Some of you like the moss. Interesting. I really didn't. I think I'm just going to go with the black carpet route. Root route rock. Oh gosh. we're gonna have to change where we put our things, because every time I come back and forth over here, it's immediately a bit of a pain, a bit of a bad idea. Let's put those two back. God, they make so much noise. Squelching. Quit your squelching. Trying to think. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to build this tunnel in like a step-by-step process, right? So it's probably not a bad idea just for me to pack some of this stuff away for a minute, as we're not going to do everything in a perfect order. Okay, and then we'll move these things. And then move that thing. Organization is key. We're going to need to go back, get some stone, and then get some... Let's see, black stone and carpets is the main thing. So let's actually go ahead and put this stuff like right here. One, two. If that one of those, yeah, that we're not using that anymore. Okay, we need to get more of those, right? More lamps. Don't let me come back empty-handed, peeps. Probably gonna need some food. Yeah, so like lamps, black carpet, stone. I think that's kind of it. We can do this, peeps. We can do it. Colmick06, thank you ever so much for the Amazon Prime and 21 months of support, my dude. That is 3 lots of 7 months. Numbers. They divide. Truer things were never said. Appreciate you, my dude. Thank you for the support. I'm going to drink some more of this decaf. Good stuff. I love watching Hermit vids. I look forward to them coming out. I wish I could play on the server for 1 hour and explore. We did that a long time ago. We did an open Hermitcraft day, and sadly, the idea of having an event to let some people come on and play if they were available to was lost on a lot of people, and we had a lot of backlash that I was really uncomfortable with. And since then, we've decided just not to do it again. It's a real, like, there's a real lesson in there. Like, for me, the lesson is like not one I needed to learn, but just like, well, maybe it let me see things elsewhere in the world a little clearer or something, right? Like, when there's a good thing going on and you can't be a part of it, like, that doesn't make it a bad thing. And I think some people just struggled with the idea that they didn't get to participate and that was a problem, rather than realizing that we were able to make something cool happen for a lot of people, right? So, yeah, we don't do that anymore because of that. It was a shame because we had plans to do it on a regular basis, and for those that got on and had a good time, you know, there was positivity there. It was just a little bit swamped by the backlash. Everyone will want to join and not everyone will be able to. The ones who left out get bitter about it. Some people will understand, but others will get mad. It's unfortunate, but people react differently to events like that. Yeah, and in my mind, the bitterness and the being upset about it is the incorrect response, because you're taking it personally if you do that, and there is no reason to take it personally, because we just tried to let some people come on and see the server and do something cool for people, and there's limitations to that, right? Like, you can't just make it happen for every single person. There will be people left out, and I don't think that's a reason not to do an event like that. But clearly, a sizable portion of the audience felt differently, and thus we concluded, yeah, maybe this wasn't a good idea. So, Mangrove Wood. So I did come back here and check this for the shulker box. I spoke to Pixel, and we don't know where it ended up, so I'll have to get some off Corrales at some point. So what did I say? I think stone is the other thing. I'm just going to fill up a shulker box full of stone to help us build the rest of it. Talbot says, that's hard for children. I assume many are HC fans to understand. There's always this assumption that, like, the HC audience or Minecraft audiences are childish, but, like, we've been doing this for 11 years, and we've picked up, like, a lot of sort of long-time fans along the way, and our own demographics reveal to us that it's not really children. It's generally teenagers, and then young adults being the majority of the audience. So I think that's everything. Like, sticks for making the wood. Bone blocks we got over there. Blackstone, we got the means to make the carpets. Yeah, maybe a bit of blackstone if I've got a fair stash here. That should cover us. Some of those blocks too. Let's head back over there. I've watched from season 3, says Ice Drag. You see, there you go. That's like 7 years of watching, perhaps? Oh, what years was season 3? Also, adults can act like children on the internet sometimes. Exactly, yeah. Frank4183, thank you so much for 4 months of support. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, my dude. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Alien says, where do you draw the line between mods that enhance gameplay and mods that are cheating? Well, it's just very subjective, isn't it? So I believe it is within a community to communicate, as communities should do, and decide for themselves what exactly is acceptable or not for them, based on whatever it is, you know. Dev Chimera says, oh, I've got a curry update. I finally found a place that sells good curry tablets for cooking. Tablets? Finally, I can try making a curry the first time. Also got a rice cooker the new year here. I have never heard of using tablets to cook. That does not sound like a good thing. The way that you cook a curry is to have spices and like stock and hot water, and sometimes you use like creamed coconut to create that curry sauce. Never heard of making them with tablets, which don't sound right to me. Now, I'm even thinking, like, I haven't even seen tablets for cooking as a thing in the store before, so, like, is this just something that works differently in a different country? And like, how does a tablet, like, what's in it? Like, tablets make me think of medicine and, I don't know, like washing up tablets, right? Like, that does sound right. Sea Turtle says tablets like a bouillon cube. Do you mean a stock cube? Because, yeah, you use stock cubes, but the stock cube is not the thing that gives the curry its edge. It's all the sort of like garam masala, like these ground up spices, basically, and things like that. Some of you saying it's stock cubes. Yeah, stock cubes, I don't know if they make curry stock cubes, like an all-in-one thing. I've never seen that before, but stock cubes, in my experience, are for the flavor of like vegetables, chicken, various types of meat, and you sort of use it to enhance a dish. And you do use them in a curry. You'll probably use a bit of vegetable stock mix, but it's not the core component of the flavor. Is it me, or does it feel like these should be stairs here? Yeah, because then you can like run up and down them a little easier. And we use yet less carpets overall, you know? Victory. It's a victory, I've decided. Then we're going to need to fill in those gaps on the side, so also that. It's a tablet for the flavour. It's basically the spices they use in Japan. The one I mean is golden curry spice mix. We call these tablets locally. Okay, got ya. I'm really getting a sense that you're not going to get a proper curry experience. Like, also, if you have curry in Japan... well, hang on, let me rephrase a little. Like... Indian curry house is what I talk about when I rave about curry. You can get all types of different curries from different places, but it's the Indian curries that I absolutely adore. And like a tablet just can't recreate that, like a stock tablet. You want to look up some recipes for dishes like chicken tikka masala that have got you, you know, throwing a bunch of spices and cream coconut into a sauce that you're making with like hot water and vegetable stock. That sounds more like making a curry. The song is so good, says Talbot. Isn't it just? I'm enjoying it too. I just, you know, had a look through the archive and I was like, today is a Jalur day. I feel it in my bones. Also, I'm reminded we need to get more of those lamps down here. So that we can keep it bright and visible. That's the wrong one. And they're not in there. Oh, dang it. I knew I forgot something. I always do. I forgot the lamps. Trooper Joe, the one, the only. 43 months. Thank you ever so much for your resubscription, dude. Also, Vamp Stays is here for 3 months saying, hi, how are you, X? I just got off work and I'm so glad I was able to watch you go live. Have a nice stream. Appreciate it. Hope you had a good day at work. Welcome to the live stream. Legmolus says Japanese curry is its own thing now once Indian curry came into Japan, and it is commonly sold as to curry paste cubes. Yeah, I mean even if it's like Indian like, it's not going to be like an Indian curry house. Just know that some things can't easily be replicated. Okay, either you got to like make a curry at home or go to a curry house. But I could be wrong, you know, I don't live in Japan, I don't know, right? It's just, it's my gut instinct here, okay? I'm a curry connoisseur, remember? This is my wheelhouse. Oh dear. Watching your streams, they make me want to get back into Minecraft, says Gracie. Cool. Cool, it's the game that always gives, right? Ah! Gives you lava. Gives you anxiety seeing all of that down there. Yeah, and then we run into many awkward bits. This is why we need stone and stuff coming up. So let's go grab that box full of stone. We have to start thinking about where we're putting all the blocks and stuff like that. So, for example, I'm going to have to like drop off the edge here. Slightly terrifying. Get a couple extra blocks, but they also need to be like housed, right? They need to be safe. That's what's annoying about these ghasts in the Nether, always blowing stuff up. Got to keep those blocks nice and safe. So if we do it like this, we're going to have the fences go up. The bone blocks are resilient. Yeah, I'm going to build it up like this. Let's get some bone blocks too. Licky Sticky Icky, thank you for 40 months of support. It's always appreciated. Thank you so much for continuing to hang out and check out what we're up to over here. Just doing some simple grindy stuff at the moment. Tomorrow we'll take a break from this one and get into Beef's TCG, get the redstone noggin rolling. So like that, and then 2 behind. Yeah, so if we make our way down the side here, just sort of like placing these, it should, like a pattern should really emerge that shows us where to put these blocks, and I think it's like that. And then you got the bone blocks behind them, right? And then the other blocks in between. Oops. Oh, did something... Oh, blazes be blazing. Goodness blazes me. From all the way over there, they be shooting. They're just going to keep doing... Oh, and there's a... Is that a ghast? Or was it... I think it was actually a block. Just spinning around, and my brain interpreted it as a ghast. Right, what do you want to talk about today, chat? Because we're going to talk about Beef's TCG a little later, that's for sure. But I just feel like nerding out on some Star Trek. Watched a couple more episodes of Voyager. I'm loving that show. I'm loving that show. I think it's a hard one probably to watch all the way through because it's been through some changes and some rocky moments. But I've been picking out some episodes, and the one that I picked out that I watched today was awesome. It was a Doctor episode, right? The Doctor wants to become like a standing captain on the ship, and at the same time he's also changing his program to give him the ability to daydream. And the way the episode opens is just hilarious. Just got this really wacky, goofy tone to it, and then the whole storyline is awesome too. Just gotta love that Star Trek, right? Oops. Oh, scary never sounds. Emergency command hologram. That's the one. ECH. And I love the way the story sort of wraps itself up in its own in its own fantasy, let's say, right? Like how the you know, because I don't want to give anything away for someone who's like, oh, this sounds cool, I'm gonna go watch it. By the way, it's season 6, episode 4, I think. It's called like Tinker Tailor Doctor or something like that. It's just got a really clever way of wrapping the story up in itself so that it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's just really cool how it plays out. Also, the aliens that they encounter, they felt like ones that could be quite intriguing to explore a little further. What they like to do with aliens is sort of inject certain ideas of like how their societies are constructed differently. It did also make me think of the movie Arrival, and like what if Star Trek did a space thing like that, where actually every time you meet aliens it's incredibly difficult to communicate, because that might be the way it ends up working, you know. Reminder for the mods, y'all are appreciated and do a great job, says Call Me Misfit. Call Me Misfit, I like your attitude. Thank you for reminding them that. They do a great job around here. And thank you, my mods. You're all appreciated. Daced745 with the Amazon Prime for 10 months. Twitch baby right there. Thank you so much for your continued support. Did I? No, I didn't put a block. Well, that's in the wrong place, but yeah. So yeah, we keep building. Difficulty communicating in Star Trek. Do you know the Next Generation episode Darmok? Yeah, isn't that the one with the... Oh, I used to remember the things that he says. Like, they speak in these little phrases where he's like... he names someone, he's like, at the river with the swell, and all this sort of stuff. Like, they speak in these weird phrases of, like, stories that are passed down. That's such a cool episode, but you got to remember, like, these were topics tackled a long time ago, and since then the proliferation of scientific, like, I guess literacy maybe, or like, you know, science communication has like expanded, as has the sorts of ideas that get shared. And so now we kind of understand the ideas that, like, if we do meet aliens, we're probably gonna like be a massive threat to them, because we understand how, like, ooh, I did it wrong here. We understand how, like, you know, the immune system and our biology works, and that if we encountered something from a completely different place, it's likely that, you know, viruses and immune systems would just wipe each other out to some extent. I'm just finding like the wrong words to say this eloquently right now. But anyway, a great example is like when Europeans went over to the Native Americans, and one of the things that killed them wasn't just fighting and the savagery that took place there, it's like germs, right? Because their immune systems just couldn't deal with it. So like when we encounter actual aliens, if it happens, like it's not just like language barriers with ideas of like, are they even going to think about time the same way that we do? Are they going to conceptualize communication with any similarity to how we do it? There's also the fact that like meeting them could literally just kill us or them. So like it kind of makes some of those Star Trek ideas a little antiquated, but I think they really hold up. You just got to kind of remember where they were coming from, right? If I went back and watched Star Trek from like the 60s, I imagine like every alien is probably literally just going to be like a person, but they put a funny suit on them, or they like give them a little bit of makeup, and then even less of those more sciencey ideas would be explored. Have you ever thought aliens in another planet might be humans too? Like somehow they sent humans to Earth many thousands of years ago and we developed completely different from them? I really like, I get the they call it panspermia, don't they? The idea of like life was sourced from somewhere else. When you say it like that, it sounds simple, but when you think about the why and the how, like it gets more complicated. You sort of have to invoke the idea that there's stuff out there that's got incredible technology and it has a motive to do this and put us here and then hide themselves from us. Like it feels like understanding how we can now look into space and see certain things there, and we understand the distances and how long it takes to get from like one galaxy to another. If that were something that like had happened, don't you think there would be like some clear like traces of that? Carbon-based life is interesting by itself because what we do, we find life that's not based out of it. It's quite interesting indeed. I'm not quite sure what we're saying there. Our germs haven't evolved to infect alien life forms though. I'm not sure how that would go, but that's not obvious to me how they would interact, says Maheldins. It's not that our germs evolved to interact with other types of life. It's the idea that because they're completely alien from one another, they just cause hazard, you know? Because when we go out into space and we look at all these different planets, there's like, we exist from a very finely tuned region of space. So most of the rest of space is extremely hostile to our type of life. And then we know that within our bands, when Europeans go across and visit Native Americans, that the germs and what they have from this side of the planet are just so different. You know, they didn't evolve to attack these people over here. They were just so different that they set their immune systems ablaze. They didn't know how to cope with what this stuff was. And that doesn't mean that like the germs were like super effective. It's just like an unfortunate hazard. Our life is based upon carbon. We have carbon as a main component of our DNA and RNA and proteins and food. There is a question of if life could exist with other chemistry. Yeah, of course. And like we wouldn't know what to look for, right? Is one of the questions that gets sort of pondered upon. If a question, I don't know. You know, it's one of those things that gets pondered upon. What's the TCG chat? Is it Beef's card game? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Ed Network, thank you so much for 77 months of support. Another Evil X coming in, and Wiggly Fox is here for 35 months. Thank you, Wiggly Fox, with the continued wiggling in the chat. The fact that physics is universal increases the chances that aliens will look similar to us too, says Taubar. Yeah, I hear him, like, I've listened to a lot of sciencey podcasts. You hear it spun both ways. Like, some people want to say, we might not even have a clue. We could be staring right at a former life, but we don't know how to classify it because it's different to us, you know? And then you have some people speculating that actually, you know, because you can sort of postulate that since we're an example of life and it's like the only one that we've got, well, yeah, maybe it makes sense that actually one of the strongest sort of forms of life is the humanoid shape, right? The upright, the opposing thumb. Maybe these things are like just going to be naturally emerging everywhere. We just don't know. That'll be such a fascinating part of potentially like future discovery. You know, maybe one day humanity is traversing the stars and observing alien species and finding out, oh yeah, like every time we go to a planet with life, it's like, you know, ape-like creatures with opposing thumbs. It turns out Star Trek was right all along. They all look like us. I don't know. You know, it could be. Like, it's... So much of it is like speculation and theorizing, and it's until we get some like actual statistics and data in, then we'll start to know like what's what. So let's say like we get really good at looking for life and we can't find it, then that changes the perspective a little bit when it's like, okay, we think there's life everywhere, yet we have been looking a heck of a lot and not finding it. Let's say we do find signs of life, and it's always carbon, it's always like similar traits to us, then that kind of proves that point, right? But it depends on what we discover. Like, we might start realizing, oh, actually there's, you know, different forms of life and figuring out what they are, and then, you know, you need the data. We're like in a state of hypotheses, you know, and theories and ideas, and we don't have data that really gives us an answer yet, other than ourselves. What if another life form sees the James Webb Telescope? Says Merlin Overlord. Well, they will see. In fact, I think you could almost say that they won't see it right now, because the light has to travel across the distance to get to them. So, actually, what am I building here? Like, I feel like I should have just continued with the groove that I had going on. So, like, what are they seeing? Because if we put up the James Webb Telescope, you know, this year, how far does the light have to travel? So when we look at stars, we're talking sometimes like, you know, billions of light years away for that light to have traveled to us. So we're looking at how it once was in the past. So when an alien is looking at the James Webb Telescope, you and I will be dead. That was brutal. That just totally popped into my head. I was like, it'll be a long time in the future, and we'll be dead. Think about that, my friends. When aliens see the James Webb Telescope, you and I will be dead. Sorry if that was a bit of bummer. A bit of a bummer, you know. Isn't space amazing? You'll be dead. Based on chat, I think I enjoyed that joke more than anyone else. Well, that resolves that discussion, says Curls, doesn't it just? Doesn't it just? That's one in the wrong spot. Speak for yourself, I intend to live forever, says Mahelvins. Wouldn't you know, you can intend all you want, but biology might not be on your side or in your favor. Sorry, X, I have a totem of undying. Fair enough, fair enough. In the end, all of us will die, but not all of us are truly alive. Dang! That's hard hitting right there. We're not truly alive? How would you know who is and isn't truly alive? That's quite the statement right there. Have you seen The Man from Earth? I am that man, ask me anything, says Myrilian. That is actually one of my all-time favourite movies right there. The Man from Earth. And I rewatched it last year, actually. It was like one of those ones I always wanted to get around to. Finally did. Still holds up, just, you know, totally grips you in that conversation. At least that's my experience of it. I find that one deeply fascinating. There's an interesting old H.G. Wells novel called The First Men in the Moon. I listened to one of his novels. Probably like the really popular one, right? Like, I experimented with listening to some different types of audiobooks during the pandemic, and I kind of remember bits of the story, but again, it was like I was saying earlier about how, like, some of the ideas of, like, interacting with aliens feel a little bit antiquated sometimes in Star Trek, is because, you know, science fiction written hundreds of years ago, it can still be a great story. Like, don't get me wrong. That's always, you know, a good story is a good story, but the, like, science fiction part of it is just kind of like, and ends up being loaded with things where, like, modern ideas have, like, really sort of gotten past, and you kind of know, yeah, that's not really how it would work. You know, people in the 1900s, early 1900s, I think, used to think that Mars was populated with life, and that they thought they saw rivers and whatnot on Mars, and it was quite a transcendent thing, you know, not a niche, obscure thing, but a lot of people supposedly believe this. I heard, what was it? I heard something recently about things that people once believed that blew my mind. Just get as I say it, I get like this little echo of some little thing that I learned, but jeez, I can't even remember what it was. Rivers doesn't mean it's life, says Blackjack. Right, but like, that's not the point of what I was saying. The point of what I was saying is that, like, when you go back to that era, people have different conceptions about things, and it was like a pop culture thing, I guess, that quite a few people thought, you know, they were looking at Mars on their telescopes, and they're all sort of going, look, there's clearly the signs of rivers here. There's life on Mars, like people thought it was, and then when they got better telescopes, they ended up being disappointed when they realised there wasn't, you know. Oh, and Beef. Didn't see Beef log on. X and Shaq, if you could try and travel without coming back, what would you go forwards or backwards, and why? That's an interesting question, because if genuinely proposed to you, right, you could go back in time. I think the safe bet is to go back, because you would have knowledge of the future, and you know what you can do. You can win the lottery, and you can invent things that someone else actually would have invented. Right, like, you can go back and interact with the future without uncertainty, so you could probably set up a pretty good life for yourself. But to go forward is complete risk, you know. Do you want that Star Trek future, or do you get an apocalypse? So knowledge is power, says Ariosus. Yeah, basically, knowledge. That's honestly, like, as much as I'd want to go forward and find a Star Trek-like future, it's like, actually, okay, it makes it safe. If I go back, let me take some notes, you know, who won the Premier League? I'll put a bet on it, make some money. You know what I mean? Haha, invent things. Wow, that's amazing. So how do these computers work? No idea, mate, says as far as it goes. Yeah, I may have not thought that idea too much through. You'd have to go quite far back, because the further back you go, I think concepts are generally a little bit simpler to sort of get across. Oh my god, you're breaking things. Please stop. And you're dead. Yeah, like, you could go back and take some basic ideas of science and physics, you know, to like the 1700s or something. You could show them how the, you know, what's it called, you know, dark side of the moon, yeah? Get one of those things on it, a prism. Show them how that, you know, actually light is made of all colours, whatever. But like, if you go back 20, 30, 40 years, you ain't going to be inventing no computer. I've got this idea, you know, like, everyone will have a computer screen in their pocket, and we'll call people on it, and we'll have apps, and we'll watch videos of teenagers dancing on it, and they'll be like, you what? Are you mad? How do you make all that then? And then you'll be like, don't know. You won't have the facilities that you can take for granted today. Yeah, that's another thing. So, like, you'd be it'd be a trade-off. Like, how far back do you want to go? This is one of these things I frequently talk about is, A, a little bit of romanticism of the past, but like B, maybe a lack of knowing just how far we've come, because you go back, let's say 70 years or something, like medical science is not the same as it is today. You got increased chances of, you know, like people be smoking around you all the time and stuff. Like there are just things that are different that you don't really think about, and can be hazardous to your health and your well-being. Let's remember what I think I needed more of these lamps. I think maybe I was just clearing out the inventory a little bit. You go back 5 years, medical science has made great advances since. Yeah, there's always advances being made, right? It's just every now and then it just like something dawns on you how things have come along. One of them that I heard about a while back. Oh, do you know what? I was going to get more of this stuff. That I haven't really seen manifested yet, but they were talking about like using smartphone apps to take pictures of moles on your body or other things, and like they didn't quite know like how and why, but basically they have algorithms and AI just sussing out what's going on and giving these high percentage diagnoses. So like you take a picture of this mole, right? It gets fed into the algorithm, and then it tells you if it's like a cancerous mole or not. And it has really high success rates. And they were talking about how this may become like a prominent thing, that you'll have apps that can sort of pre-diagnose, and then you can go to a doctor and just get it confirmed, is this thing cancerous or not? And just, you know, that's what I think the next iteration of the phone might be. Smartphone is that it becomes more of a like a medical tool too. That would be amazing. Remembering there's no supermarket to easily access food, says Dev Comio. Yeah, like you go back in time, you'd have like let's say you go back a couple 100 years, 300 years, like yeah, markets are a thing, but not supermarkets like today. If you were to go back 60 or 70 years, maybe you've got like the butchers and like you don't have these big chains, you have like locally sourced stuff more, and you have to visit multiple shops. Like the way that food has been managed is rather incredible. Anyway, yeah, like I could see a future where your smartphone is also like a diagnostic tool, right? Like these AI algorithms just seeing things in visual data that we can't see, and you know, if you're sick one day, because you could put other sensors in these phones too, right? Like, what happens when it can take your temperature? I mean, the Fitbit is already constantly picking up information and telling you if you've got an irregular heartbeat. You know, all this stuff, like, super fascinating. It feels like, though, that's one of those things I feel like would be a bit more prevalent by now, because it was a few years ago I heard about them being able to diagnose stuff. X for Mrs. Curry's in the 1600s. Oh, would I? Would I? Yeah. Another thing about food, apparently it's become way more flavorful. I do believe, though, that the nutrients and minerals of food has diminished somewhat as we are over-farming soil in certain parts of the world. But, yeah, overall nutrition has gotten way better for people. But, yeah, flavor, too, apparently has been increased, because as we've industrialized farming and learned how to get more out of crops, we also select for tastier crops and learn how to get, you know, learn how to cook better, learn how to do everything better. It's just all progress, you know, all progress. With all these old G-Tech thing data, feeling even more insecure as they'll probably exploit that data, says Imans. There's a genuine fear to be had about all this data getting collected and who has it and what's done with it, right? But I don't think the default is that it would be negative. It's really about how we grapple with it and if we can make smart decisions for that or not, right? But it's definitely a big concern that data could be handled irresponsibly. But they always come off with trade-offs, right? You know, like you can have this idea of like, oh, Big Brother is watching and they're collecting so much data, but some of the data collecting does lead to things improving in your life, you know. So like they collect all this data, and maybe it means your Fitbit can then tell you you might be on path for a heart attack or something, right? Like, and then you might think, oh, actually, you know, that's kind of a interesting trade-off right there. I'm not saying it means it's right, you know, just that things that, you know, it's always a weird sense of trade-offs. We hear all these horror stories about big corporations and stuff doing terrible things, but it's always in balance with some good things too, right? So it's difficult to get your head around it a lot of the time. Like, I've certainly swayed to this idea that progress is generally for the better. It feels like to me that we've made over the past many decades. Have you played with ChatGPT yet? It's really remarkable. I have. I want to play with it more. I just keep forgetting. I thought it might be fun to do a live stream where we just sit and ask it questions. I thought that would be kind of cool. The Big Brother conspiracy theories always push me the wrong way, because if you look closer and closer into these kind of things, it's just goddamn racism. Always, no exceptions. All conspiracy theories are based on racism. I'm not a fan of making big absolute statements, and claiming that all conspiracy theories, all of them, I mean, how many are them? Can you quantify that? Can you put a number on it? Are they all equal? Like, to say that they're all racist, I don't know where that's coming from. You can look at a certain theory and maybe it has racism in its roots, like there's a lot of Jewish-related conspiracies that are, you know, blatant racism, but then what about, you know, Bohemian Grove or alien abductions and reptilians? Oh, maybe reptilians is related to race, but you know what I mean? Like, why call it racism? I don't understand that perspective. Is Flat Earth racist, says Taubar? Yeah, you see, that sounds really bizarre, right? And I do think it's important to, you know, when we have things that are negative, that we need to point out and be like, this is wrong, is to get it right. Because if you go around crying wolf at various things, people will stop listening, you know? So if you're going around shouting conspiracy theories are racist and all of them are, then at some point, you know, someone might just not pay enough attention to one that genuinely is, and that could be negative. Many conspiracy theories are racist, but the big thing is, big companies abusing your data isn't a theory. No, it's probably not. There's a fine line between conspiracy theory and racism. Maybe it depends on the cause of the theory and what your particular thoughts are. You know, I never really like put those two things together, so like that before, like just to make a statement, even if not like absolute, but most are. I've never really thought of it that way. Obviously some are tied to, for me, like racial theory stuff just immediately kind of goes towards a kind of like don't care sort of perspective. Like, no, that's not the way I look at things in the world. Like, for me, the thing that I always come back to is this idea that before you're born, you have absolutely zero control over where you turn up in the world, who your parents are, and what physical attributes you might have. And so from that perspective, I see a sense of equality in that we all started with no choice. So that is a reason to try and create a more equal and just society, because no one chose where they might end up, you know? You might be born into wealth, you might be born into poverty. You could be tall, you could be short. You don't have control over these things when you are born. And so any reasoning of like superiority, inferiority, I don't know, ideas of people conspiring together, it goes over my head. It's like that doesn't hold any merit for me. I have a real curiosity on how the mind works and where our thoughts go and come from. Is it really just chemistry? It's curious, but a dangerous rabbit hole, says Dev Chimera. Well, it's the mystery of consciousness, right? That's what makes it all mysterious. We can analyze the brain, we can learn a lot about what different things going on in the brain mean, you know, brain processes and tying emotions to different regions of the brain, all sorts of stuff. But the underlying question of consciousness, you know, barely even scratch the surface on how to tackle that question. For all you know, you could have had control, but we forgot. Yeah, that could be true, right? But if we all have that shared collective amnesia, then I still think it's not really worth changing that idea based on the idea that something we can't remember could have been true. You know? And then, who's ever made a choice in life that turned out to be bad? Do you deserve to be punished for that? Some bad choices might do, but a lot of them, maybe not. I mean, what sort of information did you have about how the world works and where you turn up when you chose? Right? Because if you understood what choices would give you the best life, you would probably choose those things. Why would someone choose to be born into poverty? It doesn't make sense that you would have those choices beforehand. Beta and Anil, thank you so much for 23 months of support. Appreciate it. 23 months. Are you sure? I swear it's longer. Happy 2023. It definitely feels like it's been longer over time. That's for sure. But thank you so much. Also, Night Sport here for 20 months. Greatly appreciated, my dude. Hope you're entertained and enjoying the stream. Look up Boltzmann Brain. That'll give you an existential crisis. I remember listening to a podcast about that at some point in time. But the specifics of whatever that was about, I don't know. It's not coming back to me. I don't believe in punishment, only in education and protection, says Weirdo2. I would like to believe that you don't need punishment, but I don't know. Maybe it's like a non-logical thing, an emotional thing, but clearly there are actions people undertake that we agree, you know, should be punished. Oh God, not now! I'm trying to hold back a cough, and you're shooting up all my carpet. You're rude! Just dropping off the edge now. Making my life a misery. Get popped. Oh my word, I need to drink some water. Oh, got quite a dry mouth at the moment. I am going to log out just because I will get shot otherwise. Let's hydrate, peeps. Let's hydrate. Let's hydrate. Do you think a baby is a clean slate, or do you think some traits can be genetic from the parents, so they have natural tendency to some behaviors, like the parents if they weren't raised, and then the message went off the top of the stream? I think that, you know, I once said that, you know, there's this question of nature and nurture, and I'm like, it's both, and then someone said it's an oversimplification. And what it made me realize is that when you say that, it's not, you're not saying this is simple, it's both. It's like, it's both, and that's unbelievably complicated. Look at how many variables of genetics there is on one side, and look at how many variables of environment are on the other, and all the ways that they can interact. I mean, to me, it feels like there is research out there, and there has been studies, and there is, let's say, evidence that genetics can influence your behavior, your personality. But again, no one chose their genetics, right? I mean, maybe one day there might be a future, if you can imagine this, where, like, let's say something like psychopathy, you know, lacking empathy for other human suffering or whatever. Like, what if that was diagnosable? What if we figured out what's going on with your brain chemistry to make you feel like that? What if certain things like that could be cured through chemistry and, you know, here's a pill that will stop you hating and wanting to hurt people. Like, I mean, this question also gets into some real weird territory of like, well, you know, what is it to be human when you can start altering who you are with chemicals and stuff? I mean, that's something people have already been doing with drugs for millennia anyway. But if you follow my drift, like surely no one wants to be or have psychopathy, right? And so some of these things you can look at as just like states of mind, states of being. And again, it's like it's not things people would choose to have, I assume. I don't know. It's a weird one. There are meds that can reduce violent impulses, actually. It's not magic, but they do exist, says Shinny. Wow. I mean, that stuff's already here then, maybe. I was just thinking about it from like a thought experiment kind of perspective. Chaotic says cultural appropriation is a big agreement, as I was with someone who from Nigeria said she was having braids was an appropriation, but there are all the islands as we all have braids. It's such a hard topic. It is a hard topic, but something I find strange about it is like, what is culture? Culture is shared communal social activities. Right, I think the problem is that we see exploitation, right? When someone gains something that is someone else's, and that's what we don't like. But the term cultural appropriation just seems a little strange because it's like an oxymoron where it, you know, that's what culture is. It's sharing. It's like collective sharing, so it has a bit of a strange ring to it, that one. Right. How do we go about building more of this? Maybe like 1, 2, 3. We always have 6 bone blocks behind these things. So let's start there. And we do know of several aspects of the brain that are shared between people that have antisocial personality disorder, psychopathy, like lesions in the pre-orbital frontal cortex. Wow. What's it called again? Neuroscience, right? Incredible stuff we can learn about the brain. Seems paradoxical. Cultures should be embraced but don't appropriate, says Arisos. If we didn't like undertake the sharing aspect of culture, how would culture ever spread? Like if there were rules, right? Like it's always easy to think people as being separate, as like different groups, but then like you can break the groups down further because it's like, well, where is it? Where does the line begin and end for who's a part of what culture? As like here in the UK, there is just so many things in our culture that have just come from other places, right? Like a bang on about Indian curry houses, and it's like a pleasure to share those things. It'd be a shame if like, no, we can't enjoy this thing because it's from, you know, this other part of the world, and therefore it's theirs, and you're not allowed. Like, it's just such a strange thing. Ugh. Oh, dang, that really rustled my feathers there. I was like, whoa. Sharing is one thing, appropriation is a bit different in my honest opinion, says JB Nitro. Maybe it's just like the definition of appropriation I don't fully understand or something. That's like saying you can't play the accordion unless you're Polish or German. Yeah, that's the way it sort of sounds in my head, that phrase. But maybe I'm missing something, you know? Right, we're out of bone blocks again. Dang. And above these bone blocks... hello, squishy things. Above these bone blocks... Oh, I know where they are. Like, I'm thinking, where are those? Where are those? I crafted a bunch. Where do you go? Crafted a bunch, now I need a bunch more. I hear that squishy thing getting closer. I don't like it. Go away! I just want to build this tunnel in peace. Not in pieces. Oh, don't hit me now. Don't hit me now. Oh, rude. Absolute rude. This is why I'm running out of arrows, because I keep shooting these suckers away. Anyway. So this one is like that type, right? And then we swap to the next one. Oh my god, look at this inventory. Everything is a disaster. Appropriation. Kind of feels like not giving credit to the culture ethnic group you're borrowing from, or even worse, treat you like you always owned it from the beginning. Yeah, sure, that's not on, is it? Like, I believe attribution is a really great thing, like to merit and credit where things come from. It's something like if I, you know, have some ambitions of making, you know, scripted content and getting into interesting ideas with the Xisuma Says channel. And one of the things that's really nice to do is to be able to attribute that. Like we did a video based on a book by Todd Rose, and like I think it's really good to explain where things come from and share that and let other people go and explore it too, rather than take things as if they're your own. I guess it's just the application of that phrase then, maybe. Like, I'm kind of reminded of how, like, it's always the horror stories that come to the surface on the internet. And, I think I'm remembering, like, this H3 video where some woman's in a taxi and there's, like, the little Hawaiian tiki doll, whatever they call it, on the taxi driver's dashboard, and she starts screaming like, oh, you know, it's cultural appropriation and stuff. And I don't know that it is in that case, but it just seems like an unhealthy way to have a discussion with someone. And so it gives you like a bad frame of reference for like what that idea is, maybe. Speaking of culture, where does your accent come from, Xisuma? I've always wondered. I've felt like I never heard an accent quite like yours. It's from the U of K, my dude. The United Kingdom. And that is where... Ooh, that would go across there, I guess. Oh, we've got a big long message over here. From Wikipedia, cultural appropriation can involve the use of ideas, symbols, artifacts, or aspects of human-made visual or non-visual culture. It is a concept that is controversial in its applications. The property of cultural appropriation has been the subject of much debate. Opinions on cultural appropriation view many instances as wrongful appropriation when the subject culture is a minority culture or is subordinated in social, political, economic, or military status to the dominant culture. This is like some heavy reading right here. When there are other issues involved, such as historical, ethnic, or racial conflict. This is often seen as cultures outsiders' use of a oppressed culture's symbols or other cultural elements such as music, dance, spiritual ceremonies, modes of dress, speech, and social behavior when these are elements trivialized and used for fashion, rather than respected with their original cultural context. I'm going to stop it right there because, like, these ideas of respect, trivialization, they rely on intent a little too much. I think when you get into the region of intent, it's always tricky. I'm someone who thinks that intent is really important, and sometimes like you have to project intent, and that's where it's tricky because it mentioned music, and for me, like, I absolutely love listening to music from different parts of the world. And I love it when I hear sounds from different parts of the world in music that I like. I've been listening to Typo Negative, and their clear influences are like Black Sabbath, the Beatles, and like New York hardcore kind of sound, right? And I don't know whose cultures those are, and if this band using those sounds is a an appropriation of sorts. But one of the instruments that pops up more and more, although not with like a crazy amount of frequency, just on recent records I've noticed. I think the first time it cropped up was what's the Well Dead record called? Oh, I forget. It's got Weld and Dead in the title. It is the Indian instrument. I think it was the sitar. The sitar. They started using the sitar a lot, and it sounds amazing, right? But like, I don't know if someone's going to say that's appropriation or not. To me, it's a beautiful instrument. It's amazing to know where it comes from, and I love hearing it, you know, in music. And to me, that's like the beautiful thing about it, is that like ideas and sounds can come from across the worlds and kind of remix and re-emerge. It's one of the beautiful things about hip-hop, is all the reusing of old records and sampling and all of that sort of stuff. And some of hip-hop's origins has connections to the Jamaican like dancehall scene and stuff. There's like similarities there, you know, the beat and the mic kind of formula. Throat singing is also a cool thing, says Mark Zero. Yeah, there's loads of cool things that come from all over the world. It is about intent. I think people get upset because you can't police intent, but I don't think you can fully quantify what cultural appropriation is, says Backpack Vacuum. Yeah. The intent. That's where the argument comes to for me. It's like, it really comes down to intent, and how do you prove someone else's intent? Because the problem is that if their intent is to steal and act as if it's their own, they're probably not going to tell you it's like that. But then, if then you have to be the person that sniffs that out, I don't think people are as good at sniffing out that kind of stuff as they think they are. I think it's really easy to see negativity in the world. And so like that example that I explained earlier, to me it's like, the intent there is like, you know, the cab driver's just probably seen something in a store and thought, that's nice, I'll put that on my dashboard, you know? Let's just put a little ornament, a little bit of decoration. Like, what if they had been to Hawaii and brought it over there? What would that mean? You know, like they brought it from... You just don't know. And so, yeah, intent is hugely important. Like, it's fine when a musician gets influenced by other styles, but when we look at the bigger picture, we find patterns that should be studied and made aware, says M. Zebras. What are those patterns then? What are those patterns? Is Danny03, thank you for 2 months. Hi X, finally decided to continue my gifted sub. I gotta say, your streams are so comforting and nice to listen to in the background. Keep it up. Thank you, appreciate that. Appreciate it ever so much. By the way, we've got 900 peeps tuned in on this Saturday evening. I don't normally stream at this kind of time of day, but if you want to take a moment to hit the follow button, that would be amazing. Also, if you get a chance, go check out my Linktree, linktree.xisuma.co. Updating that, and the latest iteration has got all sorts of links to interesting and unique content you might have not been aware of. There's also affiliate links and stuff on there if you want to support me directly, links to my Patreon, all that kind of stuff. So just take the time, have a little look, and I'll probably mention it again when we get some more stuff on there. Going to start getting some playlists of interest in there. I was thinking about maybe getting a what game has X played bit on there, because all the games that I play are on my second channel as live streams, and then there's even playlists of games that I played donkeys ago, like what was that Terratech game? Yeah, Terratech. You know, and you can find maybe something that you want to see me do on there. Anyway, that's just like something in the works, I guess, at the moment. And yeah, there'll be more on there soon. I just checked it, the website is so different, looks super cool, says Skyfighter. Yeah, thanks. We moved away from having the Linktree clone look, started to develop our own, gone through a few iterations and figured out what works and what doesn't. And now the site is sort of ready for me to just keep putting content and things of interest for everyone on there. So like commonly asked questions about, do you have this, do you have that? We're going to put the answers on there. It's going to be like a nice, easy to find tile. You know, let's say you want to find some content to watch, like there'll be a content tile with some of the more commonly referenced stuff that I've been up to, or something along those lines, right? I think that makes sense. It's quite a nice little tunnel design we got going on here, isn't it? OMFG45U, thank you for the nice message, man. Glad you're enjoying it. If there's an opportunity, would you do a stream of a game or something that the viewers can participate, says Ardness? Absolutely, yeah. We did the Create stream. Did a bunch of those. Got to do the PvP battle at some point on there. I would really like to play some games that have more interactivity in ways with Twitch, but I've never really found or seen them, and the ones that I have tend to be a little bit on the kind of like low effort novel side. But there could be stuff out there that I'm just completely oblivious to, and it'd be cool to learn about it. I think I'm out of mangrove wood, right? Ugh. Oh no, we still got. Oh no, we got. Okay, we can keep going. We can keep going. Ave Raven, thank you for the lovely message. You should fence in those magma cubes to prevent new ones from spawning. I could put up a temporary wall. It's not a bad idea, is it? That is not a bad idea at all. But will I act upon your suggestion? Well, for now, I've got blocks to place down here where it's peaceful, so I'll just keep doing that, you know. Where does that start up again? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like literally there. I think I might start just putting this together on both sides now, as it's quite a nice look, and I want to get something that feels somewhat complete together today. Oh man, these yeah, these very similarly coloured blocks are just there's something. There's something. I don't think I should have broken those ones. Right? No? Oh, it's only 4. Okay. Or like something's not right here. It's because there's not enough bone blocks. Oh, this music's wonderful, isn't it? I think watching this discussion on an individual level leads to nowhere. This is more of a systematic tendency that it is interesting to point out. These are population problems. When we see it person to person, it gets muddled by the personnel. Like when we see a person's individual experience, one may be very discriminated while other not, since each experience is unique. But when you see a bigger picture and statistics, you see a general discrimination and tendency. That is a very, very enlightening point there, Zebras. That is a very interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, when you extrapolate things into populations, you see trends, and they obviously hint at something underlying. But the response to that is like, from seeing that, how do you then go to determine what the cause is? Right, because if you, like, yeah, like what is the cause, essentially? Like, pinning down what the cause is then at that scale can be tricky too. But yeah, that's a really, you can do that with a lot of stuff, you know. If you zoom out from the individual level, yeah, you'll see something, like a different story is told when you see things across statistics, for sure. Your cousin's birthday is today, says A Raven. Cool, I hope you have a good time celebrating. How do you and or the hermits feel about a figure for someone, like a father figure, etc.? Do you mean like being an air quotes role model? I'm personally very aware that people will look at me in a particular way because of the nature of this interaction and environment. And I try to take that with some responsibility, but also it's not something I really ask for, because I've been on my own journey in life from somewhere where I felt like I would never be someone you could look up to now having a lot more self-esteem and self-worth and whatnot. And my thing is always like, everyone's got something good in them. And it's just finding the right ideas to help you bring them out and to be a better person. And so in pursuit of those ideas, when you find the good ones, you can share them. And I hope that like good ideas get shared in this space, and that they become your ideas, they become you. That you can take them and, you know, hopefully they will help you in the same way that they have helped me. Right? But I am not in ownership of those ideas, right? So if I have some smart, clever things to say that might help you and whatnot, like, I don't like thinking about it through the lens of like a role model or anything like that. It's like the ideas are for every human to pick up and run with, and like let the ideas be, you know, the model, the look up to, however you want to phrase it. That's where those things are, and the fact that we share them, you know, is an amazing thing, because I didn't come up with this stuff all by myself, right? I had to seek it out, and people out there were sharing it in the world. People want to help each other, you know. And sometimes, you know, sometimes the starting points of life, you just don't know where to look. You might not realize that you can go looking. Bloody Quicker is here with the Prime. Thank you ever so much for using that Amazon Prime on me, my dude. Appreciate it. Peeps, if you did not know, you can use the old Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe to someone on Twitch. They also, my Amazon Prime just gave me Deliveroo Plus for a whole year. I was like, oh, why not then? Free delivery on some cheeky takeaways, which I might take advantage of next week. Backpack Vacuum says, I think it's a pernicious problem that people who are too arrogant enough to think they should be a role model usually aren't good role models, but they're much louder and much more popular. I think I know what you're getting at there. I see people in, you know, the space of air quotes celebrity or notoriety or influencer, however we want to say it, and you don't see the sharing of like strong ideas and whatnot, and it can be a little disheartening, right? It does seem to be a thing that, you know, the most popular people aren't sharing as much goodwill openly, or however we want to word this kind of thing, right? But we got to realize is this is kind of niche. Like, self-help, I think, is still a kind of looked down upon thing, maybe. So if you roll back the years, it does seem like self-help is more and more of a taboo kind of thing. It falls in line with how mental health is treated and discussed over the years. So I see it like, I don't know, like, I think most people just get on with their lives and maybe don't have a focus for like thinking about how one can self-improve or get from A to B, and that's not a like looking down at thing. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. It's just I had it at one point. At one point in time, I just did not have the idea of like working on oneself, or, you know, I just was who I was and that was it, right? And I think if you open up to the idea of self-improvement and all this kind of stuff, then, you know, you can embrace it. But I think it still feels like, you know, the majority of people don't really embrace that kind of stuff. It's IRL. Very rarely do I see or encounter conversations that have like a spin or an attitude like that of self-improvement and whatnot. Feels like something you have to seek out online and just find in these weird little places. I never saw self-help as a stigma. My uncle did a lot of self-help life coaching back in the 90s and noughties, says Aristosis. You know, that could be because you've been exposed to it in a positive light, right? I was trying to get at how it seems to be perceived broadly. And I'm not just saying my own thing. I definitely recall listening to like podcasts and stuff where people are discussing about how like mental health is perceived and how it's like progressed, and how, you know, terms like anxiety 50 years ago were really uncommon, whereas today if you say you're feeling anxious, most people know what you mean. It's like become a part of how we can talk about ourselves and each other. So anecdotally, we can always find examples of people, you know, being totally on board with it and good with it, but the broader trend, I think, is that more so in the past, it was not well talked about. I kind of held everything inside till it went boom and needed help. Got a lot better though, says Snap. Yeah, you know, when you reach out for help, and you know, that's an amazing thing to do. You can get better, of course. That's what's been so great, I think, for how we've been able to change talking about things like mental health. And yeah, it's like less and less taboo. But yeah, the point I was trying to make was just like, there's a reason why your biggest people in the world, I don't know, the people with all the eyeballs on them, don't have this sort of layer, because it doesn't resonate strongly with large populations, right? Like drama and that kind of stuff does. So that's why people who are great at that you've got a lot of eyeballs on them. Got a lot of people interested in what they do. Ooh, creepy sounds. Creepy sounds from the Nether. We're at a point where I think we get to step back and see the fruits of our labour real soon. Somewhere around here. Let's get a little bit more... Oh, maybe that's it. Oh. That's got one too many, hasn't it? Just gonna cover that up. So yeah, if I had more slabs, I could almost finish this section. That's all I got. Right, so next up will be fence posts, right? All of that stuff. Backpack vacuum, I mean... You got one of the names of the sort of people I was thinking about. I mean, I don't need to name names really. It's kind of obvious, but yeah. Like, you know, all the realm of the celebrity boxing stuff and all of that. Like, that's what entertains people. That's what they want, you know. That is the stuff that collectively people in groups can talk about, gossip about, have a good time about. Mental health and stuff like that is a totally different wheelhouse, right? Like, can you imagine people talking about, oh man, did you read that new mental health book with that bit about feeling depressed? Oh my god, that was so, you know, what? That's just not the tone, the type of conversation. Like, people want to be entertained, right? And so that stuff is like way more prevalent. Tunnel Corral. I'm glad you like the look of the tunnel. That's really great to hear. It did actually, you know, we've got a really cool thing going on here. It goes down to the farm that me and Corrales, our little temporary raiding farm area, or whatever you want to call it. And I think it's going to give us some inspiration on how to decorate that room as well, which is really good. Definitely a good thing. So we need a little bit more of the mangrove wood and some stickies, which we brought a whole box of with us, right? We'll probably move these shulker boxes down into the area soon. Wait, maybe they're on me. As an immediate reminder, let's actually do that. Okay, maybe I should have picked up more boxes first, but we can kind of move it down to this area now, I think. Not terribly shielded from the gas, though, is it? And this can certainly hold on to a few odd blockies. You can 100% talk about mental health, just need to find the right time and place, says Snap. Yeah, exactly, yeah. You know what I was getting at though, right? Like, I'm not saying you can't talk about it, it's just, it's not the casual thing. Like, when you see your friends, there's a time and a place for having chats about those things, but most of the time we're talking about stuff that's interested and entertained us, and oh, I'm gonna have a bit of a problem here. I'm gonna have to go pick those back up. Curl says depends on what type of friends you have. That is true too. That is certainly true too. I don't think we were using the... Oh wait, I left my ender chest back over there, didn't I? Let's go pick some things up. Stand back! I require these. I think we got them. I think that was it. Out of my way. Mental health has also become a consumer industry which ends up distorting how it is presented and given to people. Yeah, there's an industry component, but I think in general... there are positives to talking about this stuff. There really is. Like, broad strokes, I think we get more good than bad out of it. But I do know there's been some horror stories with some services and advertising on TikTok where they're sort of saying that, like, they're sort of pushing diagnoses for mental health through their advertising. So they're sort of suggesting to people, like, or sort of diagnosing through advertising to get them onto the surface. So definitely some unsavory things there that need to be thought about and challenged. But in general, it's got to be for the good, right? Like, hey, you always need data with this stuff. Maybe someone out there has done some studies and found out, uh-oh, it's not going so good. But to me, it really feels like wherever I see people talking about mental health and stuff, I see a lot of positives coming with it. People getting better, people getting stuff off their chest, you know. I do wonder though, when you, like, we're always trying to inquisite into the world and give ourselves an answer, right? Like, you have this innate thing to, like, I understand the world, and it's a survival thing. You gotta understand what's around you. And then sometimes when I talk and waffle and I just think about what I just said, it's like, if you actually quantified my data points, they could not be representational of like broad populations and demographics, right? It really is just kind of like gut feeling, basically. So yeah, I could be entirely wrong. I think it's important to realize how young the science of psychology is. If we compare it to astronomy, we're grinding lenses for our telescopes by hand. We don't have the James Webb's telescope for the brain just yet. So just be aware that you might be believing that the sun goes around the earth, but you're wrong. For example, pretty much all of Freud's ideas were completely wrong, but they're still very popular. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. I've listened to a whole bunch of things about neuroscience and how they use brain imaging and doing these tests to try and suss out which parts of the brain region are activating for this thing and that thing. And yeah, you gotta maybe take it with a pinch of salt sometimes, right? Like, especially with journalism tending to try and sensationalize stuff to get clicks and whatnot. You know, some study comes out linking this thing to that thing, and perhaps the real picture on what's happening isn't out yet. They'll want to write their articles and get eyeballs on what's happening. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Right, I think we're going to start to build the stone shape that houses, like, the top of this, because we're gonna get to that space now where we want our wood blocks to be protected by ghast explosions, or from, should I say, from ghast explosions. In fact, to get there, I'm pretty sure I probably need a little bit more wood first, and I don't know where it ended up. There it is. Some more of this, some more of that. Oh, in fact, we're kind of getting there now, actually. Because all of that's got to go. So, you want to put stone behind it. We got that. So, basically, isn't the next bit going to be here? No, wait, I'm looking at it wrong. Yeah, stairs, stairs. And then that again, and then the next one comes down to this level. So you want one more there. 2 blocks above, bring it in. Oh, am I doing it right? Let's try and find out here. That's correct, so that's wrong. Huh, now I kind of see it a bit better. So where do we go from there? Like this, down one? I think I got it. And then that comes down one. Yeah, this is it. This is the shape we've got to build to protect this stuff. And that should sort it out for any nasty ghast explosions. Oh! You charging me down? What's going on? Can religion be seen as self-help, says Talbar. I think it could. I don't know. You know, religion can provide good things. As someone who's agnostic and has taken the time to like listen to religious people express themselves about their beliefs, you can find good things even if you don't fundamentally agree with some of the underlying principles. We also need to be aware that a lot of mental health is focused in making people accept the exploitation of neoliberalism. Whoa, just accept the grind instead of looking for healthier ways of life. Lot being said there that I don't really get. Geez, when you start throwing those terms around, neoliberalism, it just, I don't know, it smells a little bit of straw manning to me always. Like, I prefer to, I guess, not invoke such terms and just focus on like what's in front of us. What are we talking about here, you know? Like, yeah, if you're saying you need to sort out your mental health so you can get back on the grind, maybe the grind isn't the best thing for you. I don't know. On my own personal mental health journey is late, which some of you have been tuning into and whatnot, I kind of firmly realized something, which is that this content treadmill, like I feel like I've experienced it both as a creator and as a consumer, and I've made some deliberate strides to reduce particular types of content I would normally consume. Try and be more at ease with free time and just those moments where you're like not onto the next thing all the time. Because my brain used to tick over with like, gotta get through this thing, gotta get through that thing. Oh look, I've got like 3 podcasts to listen to, when am I gonna do it? And it's like, how am I being stressed out about this? This doesn't make any sense. And I've got my brain into a space now where it's like, I'm trying to more maximally enjoy the thing that I'm focusing on, and not having this queue of stuff. That's because you can never run out of stuff to watch in this day and age, and every streaming service shoves some new show down your face when you open it up, and I'm just trying to get away from that, you know. Maybe that's why I've been watching Star Trek, because it's just like something old, familiar, and it's just got a different feel to it. But yeah, that's the thing that I've been learning. Anyway, looks like we got all of this right, because I've put in a whole bunch more wood. The next thing then would be like the roof, I guess. Like, instead of keep placing this stuff down, we figured out that rhythm. Let's get the roof up in here. Where did you spawn from, my dude? Maybe on top of there? I'm definitely that way, constantly trying to do everything, never being able to do it all, and thus constantly feeling like you're behind, trying to improve on that, says Vesk. I would recommend, Vesk, that you schedule a deliberate way in which to disconnect, because I had that with my ski trip. My ski trip really disconnected me from YouTube and my daily rhythm for a while, and since I've been back, parts of my rhythm are, let's say, a necessity, but it's really just given me a bit of a refresher on how to interact with that stuff, because it was just a case of like trying to keep up with every video and everything that's going on. And I think like the next step of moving forward with this is to try and steer myself into more creative spaces where, instead of like learning about the latest thing that everyone's talking about or whatever it is that's happening on YouTube, it's more like keeping myself in like a good mindset, with creativity being a part of that. And one thing that I think creativity or is stifles creativity is to just like be in a rat race a lot, right? All of my creative pursuits end up being like a weird game of time management, and alright, I enjoyed that thing for half an hour, now we're doing this thing or whatever. Like, just be more in the moment with something. I believe M. Zebras meant society says you have to be healthy to be able to work just like others. Whether the average workload is even bearable without medication isn't the question. This is about the neoliberalism message. Neoliberalism, a political approach that favours free market capitalism, deregulation and reduction in government spending. Yeah, I don't know what to say about all that. Kind of forgotten what we were talking about, really, with that. With social media, YouTube, Twitch, etc., your time is commonly that all the services are competing for, so I'm trying to heavily reduce my online time to be able to focus on my life projects and so on. Yeah, really well put. They are competing for your attention, and thus your time. And, you know, I worry a little bit for this generation who have not existed through a time when you didn't have these things. I am able to look back at, you know, childhood and youth and remember how different the flow of information was and the things that were happening and how you would treat your time. And that's, again, I mentioned Star Trek as being sort of like a way to help me figure this stuff out, but like when I first started watching that, okay, you didn't load up a streaming service and pick what episode you wanted. If you happened to be around after work in the evening, it might be on the television. Like, that was it. And you might catch an episode. Whereas now, it's just choose what episode you want, right? Like, it's incredible. But that has then led to a sort of content oversaturation where there's always something to watch. There's always something to pick. And because they're competing for your clicks, they're going to make you feel like you don't want to miss out. You know? I remember learning over the years about how game development has started to include psychologists in their team so that they can gear game design to make it addictive to keep you playing. And it's quite likely, I imagine, places like Netflix and stuff have similar departments, right? Like they're trying to figure out, how do we present our content to you in a way that makes you not want to miss out, you know? Well, let's ask the question, if the human brain is even wired to do 8 hours of non-stop work every day. Many employees are catching up with the fact that people need to be flexible when working to meet their own needs better. We're working with a concept of society that has formed around the Industrial Revolution, that just seeing people as parts of a machine, and it didn't have mental health in mind. Really well said, girls. Totally spot on. Yeah, because we were hunter-gatherers, right, in the fields and all of this. That's not how our days were shaped to be. We've still got those old brains. And, yeah, another idea maybe slightly relevant there I've been thinking about is how I have this routine, and sometimes I wake up and I just don't feel like it today, but I do it anyway. I think it's a very careful thing to navigate because you naturally resist stuff that's hard. Your brain and your body is wired to lounge around and do nothing, right? It's all the survival stuff that's hard. So I know that in some places I've got to keep on top of certain physical activities and keep myself in shape and whatnot, but I think I've got to see like where I need to give myself leeway to get into other priorities, like being creative. Like, I remember last year I woke up one day with a script in my head, and I had to fight myself for a minute and be like, let's not like jump straight into the routine, and let's write what's in my head right now because it's really vivid. And I had to fight myself for that one, but fortunately it was vivid enough to like, okay, go on then, like, this is here, let's do it. Now, maybe things like that are more accessible to me. They're more there than I realize, but I'm just so used to being militant about stuff that it kind of maybe gets suppressed. So that's another thing I want to work on. Also, we talked about lighting. I expressed feeling like maybe the season was getting to me. Like, I used to love winter, but I've really not enjoyed it as much the last couple of years, especially this one. Like, this is normally the time when I go out for walks the most, and I have not been walking outside as much, which you need to spend some time in nature. That's a given. Like, you need that. So I've got to keep on top of that. But some people suggested that I might have a touch of seasonal affective disorder. Now, I'm not going to self-diagnose and claim that's what it is, but I'll definitely experiment with, what can I do if this is the case to change some things. And one of the ideas was to get a SAD lamp, which is a seasonal affective disorder lamp. And I've got one. It's actually on right now. It's blasting a not so bright amount of evening light, and it's really nice. It just makes you feel like it sort of like simulates sunset a little bit. But in the morning, okay, you put it on full blast. Hey, Python GB in the chat, awesome. It's the constant wind and rain during these last winters that have ruined winter as a season for me. Yeah, it's hard to convince yourself to go out for a walk in the wind and the rain, right? The weather's been pretty miserable. But good to see you, Python, my dude. Hope you're doing well. I got this SAD lamp, and annoyingly, when you turn it on, it is the brightest setting possible. Like, why by default can't we have the weaker one first? But anyway, in the morning, okay, I wake up and there's not a lot of light because it's this time of year, and I just feel this kind of like ugh-ness about it. Okay, old me, Mr. Militant me would be like, right, jump out of bed, open the curtains, start moving about, but I don't know, I've lost that energy to do that. And so I've got this lamp, right, and when I turn it on, it just beams with bright light, like lighter than any lamp or light bulb in my house. It is just pure white light, and it really just starts getting you going, It doesn't really diminish the apathy, or it's not like some miracle cure, but enough like give you a kick. And I leave it on for a couple of minutes, and then I'm like, oh, I'm good to get out of bed now. All right, let's crack on, So I think it helps, even if it's not seasonal affective disorder. It seems to be a good thing. Daddy Bear, thank you so much for 15 months, saying, hey, I got to watch today. Hope you're doing good. Thank you, my dude. I'm doing all right. I'm doing quite all right. Can't complain, That SAD lamp being so bright feels like it would give me sensory overload if I go in one like that, says Sarah Amelie. It might do. It might do. I don't know. Don't mean to get personal, X, but replacement hormone therapy may be a question for your doctor as you get older. Yeah, I understand that topic pretty well. Yeah, you could be right. I have like as of late felt a sort of just general bit of a decline with my energy and stuff, but it's like not quite energy. Okay, what did I come back here for? Bone blocks. more so, like, with my exercise, I had a couple of reasons to, like, cut back and slow down. And then when I'm ready to, like, kick it back up again, it doesn't quite feel like it's there. Same. And, I don't know, I haven't really had the energy to push myself that much because I've just been going for all these things. Trying to kind of be easy on myself a bit, I guess. Oh, and now I need lamps, right? You need this thing, then you need that thing. Haley Bailey says getting older is hard to deal with. Yeah, I mean, I could deal with doing less, but it's just been so important to my mental health. I'm not comfortable with, like, just stepping away from the exercise stuff. It's been such a bedrock for me that I feel like it's something I just want to maintain. I've been enjoying the running. The running's going great. It just feels like my overall capacity for like, you know, working your muscles and your body and then recovering again, it was quite high, and I thought maybe I was overdoing it. And so as I step back from that, like, it just feels like I've given myself leeway, and then it hasn't really come back in again, which is weird. Maybe I just need to do a big workout and then see how I feel after. Maybe it'll be like, oh, okay, yeah. Regarding the routine, I was thinking that if you want to rethink your content brain and approach, it's important to understand that your old routine is formed around you being the most productive, as you can push out as much content as possible. If you want to change the ways you think about your time and content, it might be time to reshape your routine as help with the process, says Carls. Yeah. Maybe it is. It'd be really hard to kick though, because it's all about, like, hitting a certain amount of volume over time, right? Like, consistently. That principle doesn't really change for, like, you know, keeping lean mass and stuff. Like, that's something you just have to do to achieve that. I guess it depends if that's what I still want to achieve. I mean, I wanted to achieve that because of my endless hunger belly. Okay, lamps. We need to go get some lamps. That was the thing. And arrows. Lamps and arrows. As you decline, the gains you professionally and socially achieve should start to help you, so you can naturally decline your physical and mental output and become a mentor for younger generation. I did not know where that was going. That's interesting. But yeah. I mean, that's an arc of an intellect right there, perhaps, or someone who excels in a particular field that you, as you decline, you give over to the next generation. That's really quite nice and insightful. I don't know if it applies to me quite that way. But when it comes to my personal exercise and fitness, I guess, like, the priority is just that this thing gave me a bedrock for my mental health, and I do not want to ease up on that and slip back into an older self or something, right? Like, that's the real concern right there. Don't think I actually needed to pick up anything else. Just thinking about what's next. We got all the wood over there. I mean, mangrove wood we're going to be short on, right? That's the only thing. Used to have a really good routine before the pandemic, but I haven't been able to form a good routine, and even less to maintain it. I feel like I have much less focus now, says M. Zebras. Well, you know, if you've identified the problem, then working on the problem is the thing you want to do, right? Sometimes it's hard to get started, but, like, the best thing is that you've identified it at least. I've been trying to improve my focus by meditating every day, and it's too early to say anything, but I actually like that I finally got back into doing that again. Just finished your TCG playthrough, so fascinating, says Anafra. We were supposed to talk about that today, and I barely got around to it, right? Dang. That was the whole thing that we were supposed to get into. I guess we'll talk about it plenty in tomorrow's stream, because I will be doing more Beef's game tomorrow. We're going to build the arena and stuff. So peeps, if you did not know, over on my second channel you can see the entirety of the game. I decided not to edit it just because I don't really have the time for that right now. Like, I'm supposed to be on a bit of a break from all of that. And Tango mentioned just posting it unedited, so I thought, let's do it that way today. So the whole thing up there, it took over an hour to play. We're hoping to get the play times down to like half an hour, and then probably edit it up so it's even less in the long run, but yeah. And some of you like it unedited better. Yeah, if it's what you want, you got it, you know? If it's what you want, you got it. But yeah, that's what's on the second channel. If you want to go enjoy that, it's up there right now for you to watch. As of right now, though, I've just noticed the time and I need to wrap up my stream. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'll be streaming sometime midday tomorrow, again on Hermitcraft. And then for the following week, I'm not actually sure when, what, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with streaming. But hopefully something and not nothing, let's say. So yeah, big thanks to everyone who subscribed, resubscribed, donated and cheered. Appreciate all of your support. Thank you to the mods, the patrons, the peeps gifting the subs. And as we do at the end of the streams, we'll do a riggedy raid. I'm going to send you over to Mr. XB Crafted today, who's doing some modded Minecraft. But that's it from me, peeps, so take care of yourselves, and see you tomorrow.